assassinated. You're talking about my succession plan. A couple of days later, I get assassinated. You're lying about little things about me. Everything Turning Point is doing is wrong, and you know it's wrong. You know it's wrong deep down. And I want to say this because there has been a lot of reading in between the lines. It's strange to me. I think I'm a very direct person and I say what I mean. And I do not want people to mistake what's happening right now or to wrongly assume my intentions here. So allow me to be very explicit, okay? I want war with all of you, all of you. And there's a reason. I'm going to get to that reason in a little bit, but I want war with all of you.
Candace Owens has caused a lot of discussion and arguments lately. Recently, she made some serious claims, suggesting that the federal government might have been involved in what happened to Charlie Kirk. Not long after that, she went on her podcast and announced that she was going to war with everyone at Turning Point USA. This statement sparked a huge reaction online, especially on X, formerly Twitter. Many people said that because Erica Kirk is now the CEO of Turning Point USA, Candace was actually declaring war on Erica as well. These are things people are saying on social media, not my own opinions. I've been following this situation closely. I'm not a conservative, I lean liberal, but I still believe in freedom of speech. Even though I don't always agree with Candace Owens or her ideas, I think she has a right to share her opinions. She has suggested that something strange might have happened after Charlie Kirk's death, and while I don't agree with her theory that Turning Point USA was involved, I do think there are some odd details that make people question what really happened. Right now, there is a man in Utah named Tyler Robinson who has been arrested and charged in connection with the case. Law enforcement officials there say they have a huge amount of evidence linking him to the crime, so much that it will take a long time for his defense team to review it all. They say all of the evidence points to him alone. Of course, it's still possible that more people were involved, but so far, there's no credible proof that anyone else, including anyone from Turning Point USA, had anything to do with it. Still, Candace Owens believes that Turning Point USA did not stand by Charlie or honor his memory properly. In a recent video, she talked about how some of his colleagues reacted after his death. She mentioned that his former chief of staff, Mikey McCoy, went live online to announce that Charlie was dead before officials had even confirmed it. Candace thought this was suspicious and wondered why he would do that instead of helping. Some of her followers began suggesting that McCoy might somehow be connected to the incident, especially because he was seen walking away while talking on his phone. These ideas have spread quickly online, even though there's no verified evidence to support them. Candace also shared some old text messages between her and Charlie from around 2018. She used to work for Turning Point USA but resigned in April 2019. Her resignation came after months of tension within the organization. In early 2019, several chapters and student leaders from Turning Point publicly criticized her statements and demanded that she step down. One local chapter at the University of Colorado released a statement in February 2019 saying they were tired of waiting for the national leadership to address the problems surrounding her role. They accused her of creating division and said that her controversies had become a reflection of the organization itself. It seems that Candace Owens has always found herself at the center of controversy. Whether it's her comments, her political opinions, or her public feuds, she continues to attract both attention and criticism. This new conflict with Turning Point USA is just the latest chapter in her long and often dramatic career. When Candace Owens worked as the communications director for Turning Point USA, many people believed her job was to represent the organization's values, not to use her position to promote her own personal ideas. She had every right to share her opinions, but as someone speaking on behalf of a major group, her words carried extra weight. Anything she said publicly could easily be taken as the official view of Turning Point USA, even if that wasn't her intention. This became clear after she made controversial comments about Adolf Hitler and nationalism. The video that spread online made her look like she supported Hitler, which wasn't true. However, the situation showed how quickly her words could be twisted and turned into headlines that reflected poorly on the group she represented. As a communications director, she was expected to speak carefully and professionally, especially because she was the public face of the organization. Another issue came up when she criticized the Me Too movement. Instead of showing understanding for victims of sexual harassment and assault, she made it sound like the movement was just a political trick used by the left to attack men. Many people, even conservatives, thought this was insensitive. For them, Me Too was about giving a voice to survivors, not about politics. Because she was speaking as a representative of Turning Point USA, her words caused frustration among both supporters and opponents of the group. At a leadership event the following summer, her comments caused even more division. Local chapter leaders and student representatives across the country released a joint statement saying that they could no longer quietly support what they felt were harmful and divisive remarks. They said that Turning Point USA should rise above that kind of language and that Candace was not the best person to represent the group. Some local chapters even stopped associating with the organization because of her statements. Facing mounting pressure, Candace eventually resigned. After leaving Turning Point USA in 2019, she began working with Prager University and Dennis Prager, then later joined the Daily Wire. But in 2024, she left the Daily Wire as well, after disagreements about her views on the conflict between Israel and Gaza. Some people accused her of being anti-Semitic, which she denied, but the controversy marked another split in her career. Despite the criticism, she said she was proud of what she accomplished and grateful for her time at each organization. However, a pattern had developed. Candace often struggled to fit within the rules or limits of the groups she joined because of her strong and sometimes divisive opinions. What she accomplished and grateful for her time at each organization. Now, Candace works independently through her own company, George Tom and Candace Owens LLC. She isn't tied to donors or sponsors who can control her message. She speaks only for herself and her followers, saying what she truly believes, even if it upsets people. Recently, she accused Turning Point USA of betraying her late friend Charlie Kirk, sharing old text messages where he had expressed fears about his safety and even suggested that he might not live long. She said his words felt like a prophecy and that his death confirmed her belief that something deeper was going on. In her recent videos, Candace appears emotional and deeply affected by Charlie's death. She said she thought people at Turning Point USA would want to join her in finding out the truth, but instead, she feels abandoned. It seems that part of her anger may come from grief and disappointment. She cared for Charlie and had loyalty to him, and seeing the organization move forward so quickly after his death has been painful for her. Turning Point USA, now led by Erica Kirk, continues to grow, attract new donors, and host events, while Candace stands apart, speaking only for herself, still mourning the loss of her friend and the end of her connection to the group. Turning Point USA is an organization that relies heavily on media and public communication to reach its audience. Much of its message is spread through daily shows, podcasts, and social media updates, which makes it difficult for them to stop or take a break, even after major events. They have millions of dollars in funding and a huge following, so the machine keeps moving no matter what happens. Still, you can sense that Candace Owens is deeply hurt by what has unfolded. It seems like she feels pushed out of a group she once helped build and loved being part of. She likely thought that her friends and former colleagues would support her after she started questioning what happened to Charlie Kirk, but instead, she found herself alone. It's complicated because Candace is very successful on her own now, yet there's still an emotional side to her that misses being part of something bigger. You can tell she's struggling to process both her grief over Charlie's death and her separation from the organization. She has a strong personality and clear opinions, but it's obvious that behind all of that, she's dealing with real pain. Some of her hopes didn't work out the way she imagined, and that disappointment shows. Even though she continues to do well professionally, independence brings pressure. When you're self-employed, every word you say and every decision you make falls completely on you. The success or failure of your brand depends on you alone. On top of all this, Candace is now facing legal trouble with French President Emmanuel Macron, who has reportedly taken issue with her comments about him and his wife. She has criticized him for restricting freedom of speech in France. Many human rights groups, including Amnesty International, have also spoken against Macron's government for trying to silence critics. He has sued several people who publicly questioned him or his marriage, which has made him increasingly unpopular. To Candace, his actions seem like an attempt to control the story about himself rather than deal with the deeper political issues in his country. Whether or not people agree with her, she has the right to express her thoughts. In America, freedom of speech allows people to voice their opinions, even if others dislike what they say. It seems like she feels pushed. The current situation between Candace and Turning Point USA remains messy. She insists that Charlie Kirk was betrayed, but it's still not completely clear what she believes was covered up or who she thinks is responsible. Some of her claims have turned out to have some truth, such as Charlie expressing frustration with donors and political pressure related to Israel. But Turning Point USA has strongly denied any wrongdoing or connection to his death. They even released a video explaining that Mikey McCoy, Charlie's former chief of staff, wasn't acting suspiciously when he left the scene. He was just working on live content for the organization. Both sides appear emotionally drained and defensive. They seem too divided to come together for an honest conversation, even though that might help everyone heal. There's also an ongoing criminal investigation connected to the case, and many at Turning Point are witnesses, so they can't publicly discuss it. For now, it's a tangled situation filled with accusations, grief, and misunderstandings. Candace continues to speak out, determined to share what she believes, while Turning Point USA moves forward with its work. No one knows exactly where this conflict will end, but it's clear that both sides are dealing with pain, pride, and pressure in their own ways. Leave a comment below, give this video a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss an update.